And that makes it very difficult for alcohol brands to understand at a granular level what's actually being sold, because it's all dependent on what the bartender is typically saying based on.
Yes, let's get started. Hello, Ayan.
Hey,
So, Ayan, thank you so much for attending this interview today.
thanks for having me.
Yes, please imagine there are many audience. They are looking forward to listening to your stories.
Excited to talk.
Yes. So, could you please your name and what do you do in New York?
Great. Yeah. I'm Ayan Roy. I am the founder of Gratis Intelligence. I have a background in market intelligence and market research. I used to work at Sony Pictures several years ago, led audience polling and box office tracking for their independent film division. For the last several years, I've been an entrepreneur in the alcohol tech space, and I recently founded Gratis Intelligence to pursue the latest idea in that space.
Interesting. Totally different. Sounds totally different, like a career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So, first of all, tell us about your company. When did you start?
Yep. So this company, Gratis Intelligence, it's fairly new. We started the company in spring 2024. Having said that, I've been in the alcohol space and from an entrepreneurial perspective for almost 6 years now. I had a startup prior to this called Sip Science that was focused on
Sip.
Yep.
Oh, Sip Science. Cool
Sip
name.
Science.
I love that.
We're trying to understand the data behind what it is that people are consuming in bars and restaurants. And I guess Gratis Intelligence is also pursuing something similar, just with a different angle. So we focused on distributing discounts to consumers within bars and restaurants through a contactless payment system. Now we're focused on offering totally free alcohol samples. So we're distributing samples from major alcohol brands to consumers that they get exposed to new products, and so that the brands can get more information on these consumers and their reaction to the products.
I see. How did you come up with this business idea, Ayan?
Yeah, so I've been working with alcohol brands and research companies for several years now, and my specialty's been largely working with point-of-sale companies like Toast POS, Square, Clover, and those point-of-sale companies have lots and lots of information on what it is that's being sold within these bars and restaurants, what consumers are purchasing these products, but it's a very niche space in terms of cleaning up this information for alcohol brands. So my specialty for several years now has been harmonizing that dirty POS data.
Dirty POS data?
Dirty POS data.
What is this?
So, for instance, Bud Light. Everyone knows what Bud Light is. A point-of-sale system might interpret Bud Light 60 different ways, depending on what the bartender inputs into that system.
6.
Yeah. So, are you saying the words Bud Light? Are you saying beer? Are you saying BDL? There's infinite possibilities for how you're entering any given product into that point-of-sale system. And that makes it very difficult for alcohol brands to understand at a granular level what's actually being sold, because it's all dependent on what the bartender is typically saying based on the point-of-sale system, but there's ways of making educated guesses. So our business intelligence engine is essentially cleaning up that data. So if a bartender does put in the letters BDL into a POS system, our engine will predict that was probably a Bud Light. And we do that for 200,000 alcohol items that we're trying to constantly clean up based off of POS data from tens of thousands of bars and restaurants that we've worked with or had access to.
I see. Okay. So only B2B business.
So to date, with my prior venture, we essentially became a B2B business focused on that data cleanup. In the last few months, we've kind of shifted our focus towards a little bit more exposure to consumers.
Oh, really?
So our POS relationships led us to a major alcohol conglomerate approaching us and telling us that they would like to use our background in POS systems to pursue a new use case having to do with sampling alcohol products. So essentially, major alcohol conglomerates, they typically use experiential marketing agencies. And those agencies will hire feet on the street, brand ambassadors, promoters. They'll hire individuals to go into bars and restaurants and hand out product samples, because that's how new products get introduced to the market. You need people to try these products to understand what they are. Liquid to lips exposure is what it's called. I think the big challenge is that even though this is the way it's always been done, there's not a lot of data being collected from these traditional efforts, because everything is being self-reported by the brand ambassadors.
Oh no.
So we were approached about a year ago to see if we could leverage our expertise in the point of sale industry to use that technology to better track the distribution of samples. So boiled down, instead of a major alcohol brand using a promoter to hand out a sample, the new use case that Grass Intelligence is producing is one where we are opening and closing a tab on behalf of a major alcohol brand. Any items put on that tab, the brand is responsible for paying for. And then the brand builds awareness to consumers, not through promoters, but through in-menu collateral. So instead of getting a drink from a brand ambassador, you as a user might see a table tent or a coaster or a digital sign or a menu insert saying, scan here for a free Bud Light. And then you scan it and your order is tracked right from the point of sale system. So we're able to distribute the sample without needing that ambassador to be there. So it's a cheaper process and it collects a lot more verifiable data on both the consumers and the menus.
I see. It's super big changing for alcohol company, because currently, so alcohol company work with a agency, and the agency hire a ambassadors, and then they are going to each birth with a sample. It's not a sample. Does they sell bringing sample?
It depends on the specific incident, but they will sometimes focus on venues that already have the product in inventory. The ambassador will show up, grab the bottle, pour out the samples. Sometimes the ambassadors will literally just show up with the bottle and ask the venue right there and there, like, do you want to do a sampling event tonight? We have the bottle right. So there's not a lot of consistency in how it's done today. And certainly not a lot of tracking of the data.
I see. Interesting. So what was your big challenge to build this your business?
Lots of challenges.
Yeah.
I think one challenge is getting through the procurement process with some of these major conglomerates. We're working with 2 major conglomerates right now in the spirits space, and these are massive global companies. There's dozens and dozens of different divisions that we get exposure to. Each one has different priorities in terms of what they want out of a solution like this. Because this solution, it can benefit the on-premise arm that deals with bars and restaurants, the e-commerce arm that wants the verified information from the consumers, the insights arm that wants the data from the point of sale systems and the venues. There's lots of people that ultimately benefit from this, but as a result, there's sometimes conflicting priorities. And as a result, we often have to wait a week at a time, month at a time, quarter at a time to find out what are the right KPIs that the company as a whole wants to pursue. So that waiting game can be really frustrating when we know we have a solution that's working right now.
I see. So be patient.
Be patient, but also just work every angle possible. So one interesting thing we find is that the headquarters of these major conglomerates, they move fairly slow. They need alignment from various leadership folks. On a state-by-state level or a brand-by-brand basis, that's where you can move a lot faster. That's where you could get small projects off the ground, and then those results will ultimately help leadership move forward faster on their decisions.
Yeah, this problem is everywhere. Small startup, a quick make a decision, but big organization, super slow. Yeah, I see. Interesting. So, why did you come to New York?
see, I've been in New York a little over 13 years at this point.
13.
13.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were the kid.
It was my first job out of college. I grew up outside of Philadelphia, so I've always been kind of an East Coaster. My parents are still down there, and I see them, every other month or so. So being in the East Coast always made sense. I studied economics in college, so New York's economic powerhouse of the world, I'd guess. So my first job was here. My family's here. Half of my closest friends from college moved out here. I hang out with the same people now as I did when I was 19. So this is where my community is.
I see. So naturally, you moved here.
Yes.
I see. Have you ever lived like other city or abroad?
I've never lived anywhere outside of New York as an adult, outside of like some college time in Chicago. But I definitely traveled around and thought about where to move. Because when I first moved here, I didn't expect to last in New York that long. I thought this is a couple of years, go to grad school, figure out where to settle down. But then I feel like it takes you a couple of years to get used to the city. And then by the time you are used to it, everything else just seems like a junior version of New York. That's how I've always thought of it. I haven't gone to too many exotic locations yet, but
now in here is amazing place, Soho area.
Yeah.
So, other place, where did you live?
I've lived all over Manhattan. Morningside Heights, Upper East Side, Gramercy, East Village. Lived all over. But yeah, Soho is a great neighborhood.
Yeah, definitely. I used to live in Hell's Kitchen from 2018 to last year. So 42nd Street and 11th Avenue. So noisy.
I live right on Houston Street. You can hear the Roys right now.
Yes. So when I try to sleep, like in Japan or quiet place, I cannot sleep. Too quiet. Yeah.
Part of the reason I stay up till 1, 2 a.m. most nights is because, it is impossible to go to sleep if you're living on a major street like Austin. But, it's worth it.
I see. Okay, next question. Tell us about your passion, whatever, besides your work.
Work definitely takes up a lot of, that passion reserve. But outside of that, I think the only way I could pursue the work at the level that I want to do is by balancing it out by having just a well-rounded life. I hang out with the same set of friends I've had for a long time. If I'm not working during the days, in the evenings I'm going to a happy hour, I'm going to startup lectures, I'm going to movies a lot. I work with Sony Pictures. I'm obsessed with film. I'll go to a movie once or twice a week, and always up and down with the gym, but just trying to be healthy and get to experience more things. And the thing I like most about living in New York is there's no one set of way of living or doing or habits. There's just so much variety, so many people doing different things. So I've got my habits that are comfortable for me, but I just love getting to slip into someone else's shoes, go to a concert, go to the park, go to a restaurant, just kind of latch on to other people's passions to kind of become a little well-rounded for myself.
I see. Okay, so it's amazing. You worked at Sony Pictures. At the time, you were a data person. What did you really?
At Sony Pictures, I was just trying to find any analytics role that I could in the alcohol industry. In the film industry. Sony Pictures was hiring about a decade ago. I worked for their independent film division, and
I love it.
There's a very small division, people that don't even know how to use Excel, and I think they just wanted someone that just had that brain or had that interest at the least. So that's what I brought to the table.
I see. And then basically you love culture, movies, and then books, right? It's your passion, isn't it?
I don't read as much as I probably should, but I certainly surround myself with a lot of books. I have a huge queue of things that I need to get to. But I think it used to be fiction, and now in recent years it's a lot about running startups, understanding the culture, understanding investors, kind of the psychology, how to be a good leader.
I see.
You know, New York has such a great startup community, lots of accelerator programs and peer-to-peer group things and startup lectures and communities and meetup things. And I run into the same people all the time. We've kind of grown up together in this ecosystem. So I have lots of startup founder friends that I could turn to, who could turn to me. So in a sense, I feel like they're almost as close to colleagues as I could get.
Oh, so good. Nice. Okay, last question. So tell us about your dream in 5 years and 10 years, whatever. Where do you want to live? What do you want to do?
Yeah, so I guess I have to separate it out from like the business goals from the personal goals. But on the business goal, Grass Intelligence is just a couple months old. I'm really excited to see where we take it. And our goal is, to conquer the alcohol space with the concept that we have right now. But then we want to apply the same idea towards other verticals, namely the consumer packaged goods space. And I spent several years working with the Nielsen company on my prior venture. So we've gotten exposure to how any product within a grocery store is doing its analytics. There's a lot of flaws to it. So sample distribution is a big issue for alcohol. It's a big issue for any CPG brand. So we would love to apply a similar model within grocery stores to give out product samples of Coca-Cola or Pepsi or Lay's chips to people, or toothpaste or whatever else. I think that's a big opportunity. I think conquering alcohol is going to give us a wedge into figuring out something similar in CPG. So I'm excited about seeing the evolution of Gratis from alcohol only to CPG in the next few years. Outside of that, in the 10-year horizon, hopefully I get to sell this thing, get some money out of it, and then figure out how to apply that towards the next venture. I feel like every startup founder has a million ideas in their queue. There's a couple I'd like to pursue in the future, maybe in the film industry, and also hoping to just kind of settle down on a personal level. Just figure out what the next phase of my life is once I'm done being a workaholic. Yeah. Feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Ayan Roy at Gratis Intelligence, and I'll share my email as well, ayan@gratisiq.com.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ayan. Bye bye.